Hello and welcome. This online video resource will help you understand what is the Open Network for Digital Commerce, or ONDC. With these learning modules, you can learn about various processes, policies, and best practices in e-commerce through the ONDC network. How to easily set up and scale your digital operations through the ONDC network. Please note that the following learning modules are for seller network participants live on the ONDC network. They are classified under the Market Seller Node, or MSN, and they are seller aggregators who onboard sellers and showcase their digital catalog to buyers across the open network. They do not hold any inventory of their own and function as pure play marketplaces. However, this module is also useful for sellers classified under the Inventory Seller Node, or ISN, who are sellers who own and sell their own inventory as participants on the open network. As we move on, there will be separate modules catering to buyer network participants, technology service providers, and other ecosystem participants on the ONDC network. Let's begin then by first understanding how the current model of e-commerce functions and how the open network model for e-commerce is different from them. In the current model of e-commerce, a prospective buyer searches for a product via a mobile shopping app or a website. Based on relevant results from various sellers on the product details provided, the buyer then proceeds to buy. The buyer registers on the e-commerce platform and then makes a payment to receive an order confirmation. On order confirmation, the e-com platform initiates product delivery from the seller's location to the buyer's address. If we look at this journey from the perspective of a seller, it began way before the buyer even saw the product listed on the e-commerce platform. It began with the platform or shopping application onboarding sellers interested in selling online. This process involves various steps such as registration, creating a detailed digital catalog of the seller's product inventory, and several others. Usually, all of these aspects from seller onboarding to order delivery are owned and controlled by the shopping application. And this is how a regular digital commerce platform functions. The open network model of e-commerce is similar in some ways and yet very different from it as well. How? Let's find out. The first difference, the unbundled setup. In the current model of e-commerce, both the buyer's shopping experience and seller management are managed by a single entity. The open network model breaks this integrated setup into several unbundled components, wherein each component is managed by a different entity. The entities are broadly based on the roles they play, such as buyer experience, seller management, and delivery fulfillment. A participant on the ONDC network can be in the form of a buyer network participant, seller network participant, and logistics seller network participant, which simply means you focus on what you want to do and what you do best. Let's understand the role of a buyer network participant. This role involves presenting buyers with a shopping interface accessible via a website or a mobile app, which includes a suite of tools that facilitate the search and discovery of products or services. Additionally, a buyer network participant lets buyers view offerings from multiple sellers and place and confirm orders for specific products or services, to process payments, and if necessary, submit complaints related to their orders. These tasks represent the consumer-facing duties of a buyer network participant within the ONDC network. There's another role called the seller network participant. A seller network participant is responsible for onboarding sellers, creating a digital representation of a seller's product catalog, providing sellers with a dashboard to receive and manage orders, coordinating with the seller or logistics seller network participant to resolve a customer issue related to delayed delivery or product quality. when the spotlight turns to order fulfillment, there emerges a pivotal third entity, the logistics seller network participant. The unbundled setup of the open network offers two options for sellers for delivery and order fulfillment: on-network logistics and off-network logistics. Let's say the seller network participant opts for on-network logistics. Then the ONDC network hosts a list of registered logistics seller network participants offering tailored logistics solutions. The seller can choose one that suits their logistics requirements. And if a seller network participant opts for off-network logistics, this means they can employ their delivery fleet or engage with a third-party logistics provider, more commonly known as a 3PL provider. These are not listed on the ONDC network. Any entity can join the ONDC network as a buyer network participant, a seller network participant, or a logistics seller network participant based on the role it intends to play, which will, in turn, be determined by the service capabilities or requirements of the entity. So, those are the main entities on the ONDC network and their specific roles. The second big difference, interoperability. What do we mean by this? To conduct business smoothly and to enable clear communication between these different entities, especially in an unbundled construct of an open network, we need an established protocol of communication among all the entities involved. To ensure this, the ONDC protocol uses custom APIs. An API helps different computer applications talk to each other and share information in a precise and consistent manner. Just like a server at a restaurant ensures you don't need to visit the kitchen or tell the chef you need food, they ensure you get what you want, keeping you completely at ease. Using these ONDC APIs, the separate entities can communicate and transact smoothly with each other. If we map all the activities that are involved in online selling, this is more or less how it would look. To further simplify the online selling process, here's a list of the activities involved in online selling, along with the e-commerce term for the same and what the ONDC classifies it under. Onboarding sellers. This is the process of onboarding sellers who wish to sell their products through a seller application powered by the ONDC protocol. ONDC classifies this under the role of the seller network participant. Catalog management. When a seller creates a digital database of inventory available for sale, ONDC classifies this under the role of the seller network participant. Order, dispatch, and return management. The process of managing order status, buyer cancellations, inventory availability, dispatch status, return requests, and return logistics, ONDC classifies this under the role of the seller network participant. Packaging. This includes the process as well as the material that sellers or logistics use to protect shipments from damages. These could be cartons, boxes, flyers, polybags, foil seal bags, etc. ONDC classifies this under the role of the seller network participant. Seller management. The operational responsibility of managing the business and service performance of sellers is what seller management is about. ONDC classifies this under the role of the seller network participant. Customer support. Resolution of order-related issues such as delayed, damaged, or wrong product deliveries raised by the buyer comes under customer support. ONDC classifies this under the role of both the seller network participant and the buyer network participant. Operations planning. Organizing the different entities to respond over API and avoid operational errors and executing orders is operations planning. ONDC classifies this under the role of both the seller network participant and the buyer network participant. Payment and settlement. Once an order is delivered to the buyer and the return window is closed, it's time for value settlement or due settlement between the seller app and the buyer app. ONDC classifies this under the role of both the seller network participant and the buyer network participant. With that, we complete our introductory session about the ONDC network. How is it different from the current e-commerce model? We explained its unbundled approach and how interoperability is advantageous to all when it comes to selling online. We told you about the main entities on the ONDC network and their specific roles. And lastly, we familiarize you with some everyday activities involved in online selling. In our next video, we cover the first and most crucial step in your journey as a seller network participant on the ONDC network, the seller onboarding planning.